Hi, Cheryl from Garden in the Burrow. I just came back outside. I just went inside to get cleaned up after working on our back garden project all day. But I thought I'd do just a really short video of what else is going on in the garden because I've been so focused on what's going on out back that I haven't really walked around to show what other kind of fun things are happening in this late season garden. So I'm going to do that super quick while we have still some daylight. All right. Don't look at this from an aesthetic point of view because it's not that at all. I decided in, I think it was June, I had all these cucumber seeds and I had started some plants and I only had a few growing and I'm still picking. I have one early fortune plant that's over in the pool area that I'm still picking from. I picked two today and there's still a whole bunch on there. But I decided to sow some of the other ones that I had a crop failure. I did all my cucumber seeds. Don't see, look. Oh my goodness. It's so messy here right now. So anyway, I had a crop failure of all the cucumber seeds and China Jade was one of them and Early Fortune and one other that I'd have to go look on the package label. But I know for sure that this is China Jade because this is a really long, skinny, seedless cucumber. So I'm going to call late starting succession seeding cucumber a success, even if I only get one. But there are loads of flowers on them, even the ones that I'm going to call growing hydroponically. That's not what's happening. I seeded them, and I use these water trays, these trays that have no perforation in the bottom when I sow some things sometimes to make sure they get watered. So I popped to the cucumber seedlings that I started in there that I didn't pot up, and they're all flowering. They could sure use some fertilizer, but they all have flowers on them. So they're all going to get cucumbers. So I am going to move those. But so far, success. Look at all the flowers on this guy. So I was worried that with the nighttime temperatures so cold, we weren't going to get cucumbers. But so far, so good. Plus Early Fortune. I'm going to take a quick spin over there to Early Fortune. Again, don't look at all the messiness that's going on around here. I'm in the middle of a project. You got to forgive me. So we'll walk up here on the into the pool area. We're not going to look at any of the stuff that looks terrible, which is really hard to avoid because we're replacing our table set. So that's under construction. But look at this cucumber, still producing like mad. This thing had yellowed out quite a bit, so I gave it some fertilizer, some 20-20-20, and we have cucumbers everywhere. I think there's 4 or 5 on there right now, and still a whole bunch to come. So anyway, even with the cool night temperatures, we're still getting cukes. Pretty excited about that. So we'll stop here to look at this phlox that has some spider mite damage, but overall held up okay. So this little rose right here is Oh So Easy fragrance spreader. It's in every garden tour I'll ever do because it just keeps going. So it's actually one of the plants I ordered for Outback, but the white version that's called Ice Baby. But I cut my phlox. I do Chelsea chop. So I cut like a third of them down in early in like around Memorial Day, then again a couple weeks later, then again a couple weeks after that. So I get phlox blooming for a long time. There's a clematis that grows up this rose too. You can see the seed heads there. That's Star River, and that's been throwing out the odd bloom here and there. So this is in the pink garden. We have still this rose and now the phlox. And we've had off and on roses in the back, but none going on right now. And of course, the sedums are coming into bloom that line the pathway. I'm going to talk about the lawn project in a second because we have so much happening. This rose is a white, I think it's a magic carpet, and you can see how budded up it is. So after it finishes blooming for the first time, I cut it back and it blooms again. So it got trampled when the pellet stove was getting clean the other day, but it's ready to go. So we'll whiz by the lawn project. And by lawn project, I mean, we have been adding some layers of compost and grass seed and hay in little sections at a time, because this lawn got a lot of damage from from being too dry. And also, we had gotten rid of our lawn company because they were too expensive for us to keep maintaining with my husband retired. And he took over the lawn. And let's not talk about how bad that was going, but it wasn't going well at all. And now we're back on track. I've made him a calendar. So we're going to reseed this and we're going to start this again. So what's going on in the garden flower wise down here is not a whole heck of a lot. Because this is really when I rely on my paniculata hydrangeas, which are scattered everywhere. The Seven Suns flower tree is about to bloom its white blossoms. And there's helenium blooming down in here. This clematis arabella, see if we can get in here, still throwing out blooms here and there. The helenium, that's just the straight species, I believe. And of course the Joe Pye weed. So that's really all that's going on in this garden except for the limelight hydrangea. Oh, I didn't mention that somebody should also clean that bird bath again. They make such a mess, don't they? Right in the corner, right there, that protected tree right there is a peach tree. And our peaches, it looks weird because it looks like it's growing in straight shade, but it really can reach sunlight. And so I'll just come in here. This is right next to my neighbor's house. We don't come over here too often, but look, peaches are almost ready. We also, this apple tree, every apple that was on it, every time I came out here, there was a half-eaten apple hanging off. So some critters were eating those. But the espalier Jonah Gold, right over on this side that we walked past really quick, it's right here on the fence. You can see the fruit in there. Because we're replacing that table set over here, that's our old table. We just put it there until we figure out where it's going. Gotta be careful around this plant. This is in Angelica, and the pollinators love it. All right, so down back to what's going on down here. So lawn project we did a few months ago that's starting to fill out. And let's come down in here, because what I noticed when we went out for a walk yesterday was that the raspberries are getting ready to pick. So I grow heritage raspberries. You can see a few of them in there all along the road. And heritage is a raspberry that if you cut it back to the ground in the springtime, oh, I'm going to pick one. If you cut it back to the ground in the springtime, then it fruits late in the season. You could let it, see all the fruit that hasn't even ripened yet. You could let it make raspberries early in the season, and then again in the fall. But I just do it the once. So I just cut it all back in the springtime to the ground, and then we get a big crop of raspberries, and that's coming up right now. Hoping for rain. Look at that weed. Somebody call the gardener. Good Lord. And fun over here. Always fun to look at the berries of the Symphoricarpus albus. Okay, so that's all that's going on. Oh, a couple of heleniums dotted in here. The climbing asparagus did not get that tall this year. This is a cool plant, and usually it's climbed up into the concolor by now. We had such a dry summer. I'm going to eat my raspberry. All right, so that's all that's going on down in this garden. It is just about time for me to attend to this, meaning all of these plants have to come back into the house. They've been so happy out here, but our nighttime temperatures have been pretty cool. So usually always by September 15th, they're back in the house, and today's the 1st. So they get a little bit more time, and I'll just keep watching the weather. So that's on the project list. So this garden still has I've been doing a lot of cleanup and ripping out of stuff, and ugh, it's just been just such an ugh time of year. So I'm gonna go in here, and we can see there's one of the gaillardia that I started from seed, Indian blanket flower. This was it was called like Double Crush series or something, and I ended up with about 12 plants. That self-seeded Monarda, dahlias. So everything else in here, look how dry it has been. We're going to talk about that shrub when the other one comes into berry. But this garden is due for its cutback. I leave all this rudbeckia so the finches can have seeds. And so there's still so many wasps in here, so I have to wait. And then as soon as that's done, I'll give this garden a cutback. And we still have mums. This is a hardy chrysanthemum that won't bloom for another month. And what else is going on? Wow, the big project, obviously, but we're not talking about that. Oh, there was a little rebloom on this honeysuckle. So I've been working out here and enjoying the fragrance while I've been working, because it just all throughout the whole garden. It's so strong. And this is up here a major Wheeler honeysuckle. This thing just blooms and blooms. It will bloom until probably Christmas time. Even after frost, it just keeps going and going and going. I did, when I cleaned out this bed, I had to come in here and do some cleanup, and there was a whole bunch of it in here. And I separated out the plants that were all right there and just left the ones that were growing up the trellis and the ones that were growing up this trellis, because this whole area was just covered. And what's difficult is about that growing there, even though it's a beautiful plant, it is right, we're going to spin up, right under an October glory maple. And so when these leaves come down, it's really hard to get them out of there when it's all a big jumbled mess. So I took out the middle plants and just left the one going up the arbor and the one that's going to go up the arbor over here. I tied in my new cherry tree so I can start making sort of a fan-esque type shape of it. I have one that I'm trying to decide if I'm going to get that to lean right or if I'm going to have to cut it off. But I did that. I tied that up. Let's look at this little curly allium flower. This curly allium is all in my side gardens, and it is not flowering, and I don't know why, but that one is. We did some work out there today too, moving some of those logs from some of the trees we took down to edge the pathway. I don't think there's a whole heck of a lot going on in this garden over here, but we'll pause to look at the octopus and the little blue stem, which is so beautiful this time of year. My goodness, look at the color on that. That clematis back there needs to be tied up, but there's a lot of bees in that bee house, so it's going to bloom in sometime in September. There's that little blue stem. All right, and we'll quickly walk down here. Again, not much going on down in here this time of year. Lots of cleanup happening right now. Because there's that little blue stem here too. Big plant. I had to stop for a second because my neighbor's mowing. The sedum matrona, you really could use a weeding in here, but it just started flowering. And this clematis, which is hexapetala, is still blooming. Isn't it sweet? It's so tiny. Everything about this is diminutive, and I love it. All right, we're just gonna walk over. Okay, I almost missed this hydrangea, which I think is pennymac. I moved some endless summer and pennymacs out front, and I didn't keep track of which one was which. My mic just died, so audio is going to be weird, but Look, some aren't even open yet. Then we got these that are colored up so beautifully, such a beautiful, the camera isn't capturing it, how blue they are. And then ones that have already turned their late season color. There we go. Look at that color. Holy moly. Love it. So that hydrangea and one more I'm gonna swoop around to the side that I was talking about when my mic died. All right, last bit of gorgeousness before we go in for the day is the firelight hydrangea. This is a hydrangea paniculata. Look at the size of these flowers. I don't want to get stung by anything, but look how big they are. Massive, massive. And not a leaning stem to be found. These stems down the bottom aren't really leaning, they're just growing out from the base. They're tiny stems that are growing out from the bottom, but all of the stems that are growing out from the middle of this shrub, even with the weight of these things. Let's contrast it to little Miss Annabelle over here, who just flops all over the place. I already cut a bunch off. It's so dry over here, and she's doing a-okay for that, but don't love when the flowers turn this color after they open. So when they're like this, they're okay. But I usually cut them off. I started today and then I got distracted by our project. But let's just look at this beauty right here before we head in from our garden work day.